Welcome to Student Stories, where we have conversations with students regarding school and other issues they're facing today. On this episode, we hear a college student's perspective and advice from Margaret Denner, a government and English double major and a managing editor for the Hill News at St. Lawrence University.
I know you're involved with the SelfCare Club at your school, and I'm wondering, I have some questions about what made you get involved, or were you involved with like the start of it, and how did you come up with this idea, and what kind of like generated those routines and stuff for you?
Yeah, so last year my roommate and I actually started it. I don't remember like exactly what the point was, but I think one of us like made a joke about, or not even a joke, or just made a comment about how there should be like a group dedicated to like complete self-care, because there's a couple of clubs that we're involved in that have like elements of self-care, and obviously it's something that people talk about a lot now, but we feel like there needs to be like a stronger outlet to really help people understand like there's more to self-care than just like doing a face mask and watching like Netflix for a night, which is still important obviously, but we think there's a lot more to like learn, like kind of the science, psychology behind self-care, and also like give people specific activities that they can do and like meet people. And it's just like a low-key, like nice little group of us. So we started that last year, and unfortunately, obviously in the spring when we started it, we lost some time, but this fall we were able to do a couple of different activities. We did a little walk on one of the trails on our campus. We did cookie decorating, and it was just really fun. And we did like coloring activities, and we try to like post different things on our social media about like our members' pets. We do like pet of the week. We had a self-care, like I think it was 25 days of self-care over a break, and just posted tips each day. So that's what we have been doing so far.
That's awesome, and that's so important, especially right now. I'm wondering, are there ways that self-care for you has kind of evolved and taken on new forms since the pandemic and since all this stress of like school not being how it usually is? Are there like new things that you've introduced in your own self-care?
I've just like kind of learned to take a break, because I like to be really busy, and then after like last March when everything kind of shut down at first, like I couldn't really be busy anymore. And like this semester I like took less shifts of work, like I made my schedule like a little lighter. And I just think that was really a big self-care step for me, because I do really like being busy, but also like I forget to like have time where I'm just like don't have anything to do. Because last fall I was really, really busy, and like it was hard to go back during COVID because I didn't know what to expect. I was a little nervous. So I think I took on a lot more than I probably should have. But this semester I've scaled back, and I feel very different already, knowing I have no Friday classes and I don't have like a job to do on Fridays, and it's just nice. I think a lot of people probably feel pressured to do, like, even though everything's like pandemic, like they still feel pressured to go to college and keep doing remote or get a job, but it's okay to like not do, I mean, it's always okay to not do the traditional path, obviously. Like, I think especially now that I think it's okay to embrace that things are weird and that you don't have to like do what you think you should. And because that's something that was hard to, when I just decided to go back, I'm like, well, I feel like I should go back because that's like what I'm supposed to do. And I think for me, like it was what I'm supposed to do, but it's not what everyone's supposed to do. And I had some friends who like felt that they should, but then were like, you know what, school just isn't what I need right now. And like I have a friend who's looking to farm on like the West Coast. I have another friend who's being a ski instructor and just living at the ski like resort. And I feel like people always think that you have to like stay in college or just go right to like a normal job or more school or whatever. But I think take the time you've been given and do what you think is really important with it for you, not what someone else tells you to do.
Oh, I wish everybody could hear that. More and more people seem to be taking non-traditional paths, because like this, we didn't expect to be living through any of this. And I feel like the most important thing anyone can do is kind of make the best of it for themselves. And I'm wondering if there's any like advice or tips or tricks you'd offer to like younger students who might not know like where to start with that, or not making enough time for themselves. Because I know in high school, that was not on my mind at all. And it's something that I think a lot of people could benefit from.
Yeah, I do think you really have to like schedule self-care. Like obviously sometimes you can be spontaneous and realize like, oh, I need to stop and just take the time for myself. But I think you need to plan it out because you really do get busy and find things that you think are important at the moment and get really caught up in your work. And I feel like that's one of the reasons like having the SelfCare Club where you have specific events you go to like practice self-care is really good. But I like to, like right now, one of my friends and I are doing like weekly adventures. Like we went on a walk on the river to just get away from campus and stuff like that, like planning stuff with your friends or by yourself, like schedule like a movie night with yourself or stuff like that to make sure it actually happens. Like write it in your planner, put it on your phone. There's also like little apps you can get that like send you little nice messages each day and just make sure it like fits into your schedule. You make it fit into your schedule with like either those reminders or like specifically setting aside that time each week.
I know that a lot of students, since we're in like the second semester that was completely disrupted by COVID, unfortunately the third semester that was disrupted, but second semester completely disrupted, I think people are realizing this whole situation is gonna affect a larger amount of time than they had expected. So I know a lot of people who might not have been on campus for like the first semester or something like that are reconsidering like whether or not it's worth it to go back. Like, and I think there's a lot of benefits to going back. Certainly, like it's easier to be part of activities and like stay involved. I'm sure you were on campus last semester. What are like the things that you looked at as benefits and what are the things that might have been stressful to think about when going, like making this decision to continue back on campus?
Yeah, so it was really interesting because my school's doing 3 semesters to like make sure that everyone gets time on campus and they don't have as many students on campus for social distancing purposes. So they did a fall, spring, and summer semester. So I was thinking about doing the summer because I think things might be a little safer, it will be warm, but just the classes that were offered in the summer wouldn't work for me, unfortunately. So that made me realize that I couldn't do summer. So then I had the choice between spring remote and spring like in person. That was a just tough decision because while it was great in the fall to see all my friends and do all the things I do on campus that I can't really do from home, it was a hard decision because I knew like there's a lot of more cases of COVID now, especially my school's in a pretty rural area. So in the fall, cases were pretty low, but obviously I think a lot of places have seen this. There's a really high number of cases. It's really hard when you're want to see all your friends and there's not always people who are safe. And I think that's not just at college, that's everywhere. People who congregate in large groups and do all that stuff. And that made me like nervous to come back. But on the other hand, it's really important to me to be involved on the things I'm involved with on campus, like SelfCare Club. I'm an editor for my newspaper, which I have to be here to do. And I want to see everyone. And I already lost a lot of time. And it was just really important for me to continue on campus with the stuff I do because that's just who I am. But I have a lot of friends who did stay home and found a lot of peace in that and were able to focus on new things and feel more comfortable and still maintain friendships. So I think it really just depends on who you are as a person because I think people have been happy with taking time off from school completely, going fully online, or being on campus in the new world.
We're living through such unprecedented times. It will be hard to find a solution that works for everyone. So I'm also glad schools are offering the opportunity to do a remote semester or in person, and also the opportunity for 3 semesters, because knowing that some people will be remote or knowing that some people will be postponing their semester, stuff like that, I feel like it eases the anxiety a little bit because there will be definitely less people on campus in the first place. I know that you are in a sorority, and typically, or maybe last semester, and was it the semester before that too, or am I wrong, that you lived in
I lived in the house just in the fall.
Okay. Communities like that are important to reminding us to be aware of like how our actions affect other people. Do you feel like being part of that sort of close-knit community, close-knit group, one that you were living with, do you think that people are more aware and feel more responsible in taking care of the people they live with. Are there reasons that you chose not to live in the house this semester?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed living in the house. It's nice to have like a kitchen, a lot of space to do classes and work. The reason that I'm not in is just that with the way everything works with social distancing, like there can only be a certain number in the house. In normal years, there can be like 20 plus, but it's different this year. And the way like our sorority works is if you're on like the exec board for the sorority, you have to live in the house, and that switched up this semester. So just with numbers, there wasn't enough room. I really enjoyed living in the house. It was a little hard because not everyone in the sorority obviously lives in the house, and with social distancing, it was sometimes hard to like feel like that same group. And then it kind of got divided because there's like girls in the house, and there's a couple girls who live in like the senior houses on campus, and then we kind of like were separate and not able to like all come to the house for like our meetings like we usually do in a normal time. That was a little hard. In this semester, I'm gonna miss like that community of the house, but I live in a triple, so I'm still like with a relatively like bigger group of girls, and I still see my friends a lot. And I think it was really important to like be with them in the house in the fall, but I'm able to still see them, and I think we're trying to like focus on not having that same kind of divide of like where people live this semester, and trying to hang out in like the student center together and do other activities together.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was wondering like how that affects the sense of community too, because during a typical semester, I'm assuming there are some girls living in the house, some living other places, but you're at least able to have these like events and stuff to promote that like togetherness that's so important.
Yeah, we do Zooms, and we have like different like events. Like last in the fall, we had like a fire. I don't know if we can do that this semester with the snow, but we still find ways to like socially distant hang out. Obviously it's not the same, but I think everyone's kind of felt like seeing your friends, no matter how big of a group it is, has been different and more difficult. But I think we can all like kind of get through it and make ways to still have those communities.
I'm glad that you guys are able to find like alternative ways to stay connected. Right now we're living through the most complicated time politically and also with the pandemic. And I'm really wondering, from like a student who works in journalism on campus, how has like being a part of the paper been affected by everything that's going on right now? How do you like keep up with information? What kind of information do you choose to put out there? Do you feel like you are making a difference in how the campus culture is, especially in terms of the pandemic?
I think something really important we do is our opinions section, because we have a lot of students write like, we have like some funny opinions and like some like political pieces on like national politics, but we do get a lot of opinion pieces on stuff the administration's doing, like with their plans for different, like the 3-semester plan. Actually, like my class council of my year wrote a op-ed in the Hill News about like how they felt it affected juniors. And I just think it's really great that we give students that kind of voice, because I feel like there's not a lot of outlets like that. So I think you can obviously go to social media, but I think it's really cool that we give this platform to students. And just it really excites me every time like someone writes a opinion about something they feel about campus, because it's just always cool to like share your opinions to the whole school basically. And we sometimes get to interview like really important, influential people in the administration. Like this fall, me, the other managing editor, and the editor-in-chief had an interview with like the head of finance for the university. And it was just really interesting to like see kind of how basically the budget has been affected by COVID, and like actually get numbers and the opinions from like the top person. So that was really cool. And we got a couple of stories from what they said. And it was just really like informational, because I don't understand like economics of universities. And so that in that sense too, it's really great that I get to like speak with people like that. And it's just really fun. And I think our paper does a really good job of having a variety of articles on like stuff going on campus and in the local community, and students like writing what they feel passionate about. And it's just really, really cool, especially now because there's just a lot going on to write about. COVID, politics, just stuff going on at school. So
going back to that understanding of like the importance of community, it sounds like that the Hill News at your school, but the school newspaper, it kind of is the heart of the community because you get so many perspectives, you hear from so many people, and then you're able to like relay that to the rest of the campus in a really effective way. I feel like, especially without people seeing each other as much, that's so vital to be able to feel connected to the campus you're on. So that's so cool. I'm really happy to hear that. All of us are in a really weird like position of learning through this pandemic, not just in terms of school, but learning about ourselves. And if anything positive can come out of this, I'm looking forward to hearing how much people learned about themselves, whether they're on campus or not, and just learned about themselves as a student, but also just as a person. That's all I can hope at the end of this.
yeah,
We have something nice to take away at least. But it's hard to find those like hopeful moments.
yeah, it's really hard. And obviously like it's very privileged to be able to say that I've been able to grow and like had a really exciting, crazy experience, because obviously a lot of people have like lost a lot of things during this. But I think that's just another thing to be grateful for and really appreciate if you've been able to like learn something new about yourself through the pandemic.